Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I have learned as I have grown into the person that I am today. Happy Monday. I thought that we would start today with some meditations. I brought both of the Melody Beatty books today. Brought the Language of Letting Go and The Journey to the Heart. So I thought I would get into these and see what the meditations were for today and yesterday, since I didn't do one over here from yesterday. So let's look in the language of letting go. I almost said the language of the heart. That's good too, though. Let's look into the language of letting go and see what today and yesterday's meditations were. Today is, 28, 29. Okay, Thursday is Halloween, 31st, so today is the 28th. God, I cannot believe it's almost the end of October already. And then, Friday's Christmas. Friday's when you put your Christmas tree up. Okay, October 28th. Let's look and see what the meditation is. Meditation and prayer. And then yesterday's was step 11. And then let's see what was before that. October 26th was clarity. And then the one before that was letting go of the past, and I did that. So maybe clarity we'll read. And then let's look at Journey to the Heart and see what the meditations are for the last couple days. October 25th, 26th, 27th. Okay. Let yourself take side trips is today's. Yesterday's was, have you been working too hard? October 26th was, let the world help you open up. October 25th was, replenish yourself. I need all of these meditations for self-care. October 24th was, share your heart with the world. And then October 23rd was cherish joy. That was the last one that I read in here. Well, let's read from Language of Letting Go first, and then maybe we'll go into some of these. Okay? How's that sound? Let's read about clarity from October 26th. I know better than to not trust God, but sometimes, I know better than to not trust, I know better than to not trust God, but sometimes I forget that, is a quote. When we are in the midst of an experience, it is easy to forget that there is a plan. Sometimes all we can see is today. If we were to watch only 2 minutes of the middle of a television program, it would make little sense. It would be a disconnected event. If we were to watch a weaver sewing a tapestry for only a few moments and focused on only, this is going to make me get real spiritual today, I can tell. If we were to watch a weaver sewing a tapestry for only a few moments and focused on only a small piece of the work, it would not look beautiful. It would look like a few peculiar threads randomly placed. How often we use that same limited perspective to look at our life, especially when we are going through a difficult time. When we can learn to have perspective when we are going through those confusing, difficult learning times. When we are being pelleted by events that make us feel, think, and question, we are in the midst of learning something important. We can trust that something valuable is being worked out in us, even when things are difficult, even when we cannot get our bearings. Insight and clarity do not come until we have mastered our lesson. Faith is like a miracle, faith is like a muscle. It must be exercised to grow strong. Repeated exercises of having to trust what we can't see and repeated experiences of learning to trust that things will work out are what makes our faith muscles grow strong. Today I will trust that the events in my life are not random. My experiences are not a mistake. The universe, my higher power, and life are not picking on me. I am going through what I need to go through to learn something valuable, something that will prepare me for the joy and love I am seeking. So I feel many different ways about this meditation, in all honesty. Having gone through really hard, tragic, difficult times in my life, nothing in comparison to what many people have gone through in their lives, I think for much of my life, I believed this idea God has a plan and this is part of the plan and whatever. Today in my life, I struggle with believing that my higher power that looks over me and takes care of me, which I do believe in a higher power, and you don't have to, but I do. I have a hard time believing that my higher power, that I believe is a loving, kind higher power, puts tragedy in people's lives to teach them lessons, especially when it comes to, hurting children and hurting animals and hurting people in general and putting people through really horrific experiences just to teach them a lesson. I do not believe in that higher power. I do not believe in that God. There's a saying in recovery, and the saying is that God never gives us more than we can handle in a day. And for a long time, I really believed that God never gives us more than we can handle in a day. And then a couple years ago, I had a friend of mine, that topic came up and we were talking, and he said, it's not that God can give us more than we can handle in a day. It's that with God, there's nothing that we can't get through in a day. And that's where my opinion has changed a little bit, is that today I really believe that with my faith in God and with my leading on a higher power, that I can learn from the things that happened in my life. Not necessarily, I can use those things to teach me valuable lessons. I can learn from them. Not that they happened to teach me a lesson, right? I don't know that I think that God is that vindictive of a God to put horrible things in your life that have affected you, have affected other people. I don't believe that God puts horrible things in your life to teach you a lesson. I personally just don't believe that. Believe what you want to believe, but I personally don't believe that. I believe that those horrible things that we've gone through, with the lessons and the toolbox that we have, we can learn valuable lessons from having gone through those things. I think for me, that's more valuable today, you know? I think that the whole concept of faith and belief is very, very interesting. And I've told this story, I share this story actually quite a bit. You know, I'm somebody that for years and years and years and years, I think like my first 2 years of sobriety, I really struggled with kind of coming up with this concept of a higher power and what did I believe in? And I wanted to have like this definitive answer of what it looked like for me and all this kind of stuff. And I, you know, studied a lot of different world religions and a lot of different things and talked to a lot of people about their experiences and what they believed in. And what I believe in today is very personal to me, and it's a combination of a lot of different things. I believe in a kind, loving, caring God that is not judging of others and things like that. And you know, that's what I believe in today. I mean, that's a very, 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 very simplified version of what I believe in. But, you know, I can remember that this whole idea of belief and faith, that I didn't really know a whole lot about what the difference was, you know? And then I remember the night that our dog Tucker passed away, and I went to one of my first, I think it was the first meeting that I had gone back to after the accident. And I was in the meeting, and one of my friends was talking about the wheelbarrow analogy, which we talk about in recovery. And I've actually shared this story on my vlog, and I've shared it over here, I think, as well. And the wheelbarrow analogy is, there's different versions of it. There's like a man and a wife in like Niagara Falls, and then there's another one where it's like the Grand Canyon, and that's the one that I heard. And this guy is going over the Grand Canyon on a tightrope in a wheelbarrow. And this guy is watching him. And so he goes over and he comes back on the tightrope, and the guy's watching him, and he says to the guy, he says, "Do you believe that I can make it across the tightrope and back in the wheelbarrow?" And the guy says to him, "Well, of course I believe that you can do it. I just saw you do it." And then the guy says, "Do you have faith that I can do it?" And the guy's like, "Well, of course I have faith. Like, you just did it. I just saw you do it. Of course I have faith that you can do it because you just did it, right? I just witnessed it. I just saw you do it." And the guy says to him, "Then get in the wheelbarrow." And faith is putting yourself in the wheelbarrow, right? Like, I think that a lot of spirituality and a lot of belief and things like that is a lot of talk until you get down to it. And I can remember that night, you know, I came home, and that was the night that our dog Tucker passed away. And I can remember after that, I came home and I was taking little Boo Radley outside, and I was standing outside and I was looking up at the moon and stuff like that. And I kind of was like, you know, and this was like several months after the accident, and I just felt completely lost. I just felt like, what's the point? All this horrible stuff has happened, and I don't know how to make sense of all of it, and I'm rooted in shame and guilt, and I don't even know if that's accurate, and I don't know really how to move forward, and it just continues to seem like bad stuff happens, right? And I remember like looking up to God and like at the sky. I always look up at the sky, you know, like I do my prayers at night, like when I'm taking Boo Radley out for his like last walk, and I look up at the stars, and I don't know why I feel like God's in the stars, but for me, that's how it works. And I remember looking up at God and saying to myself, or saying to God, you know, okay, God, like, for a long time, like, I have said I believe in you, I trust you, but I've never put myself really in the wheelbarrow. Like, I haven't been in the wheelbarrow for quite some time. So I'm putting myself in the wheelbarrow, okay? I believe you've got me. I believe that you've got me. Not necessarily that there's a plan to things, but there has to kind of be that you've got me, that you're taking care of me, okay? And that I'm going to be able to make sense of all of this, or I'm going to learn from all of this, or I'm going to learn lessons from this. It's going to teach me something by what I've gone through, whether it's that I'm stronger than I thought I was, by having gone through all the stuff in my life for the last 49 years or 50 years or whatever it was at that point, that I'm going to learn that I'm stronger than I thought I was, or that I'm going to share my story with other people, and maybe they can get through it a different way. But something's going to come of this, right? Because I have faith in you. But I'm putting myself in the wheelbarrow. Now, I will tell you that I haven't been the perfect example of that. There's many days that I'm like, I don't feel like I'm in the wheelbarrow today. And then I'm like, okay, get in the wheelbarrow, get in the wheelbarrow. If you really believe it, get in the wheelbarrow. Put your trust in God. Put your faith in God, right? That you're going to learn something for this, or God's got you somehow, right? And I struggle with that sometimes, but I've worked really, really hard to put myself, when I question it and I feel uncertain. You know, it's like one of the things that one of my friends says, is that, that you can't, like, God doesn't need a reminder. So, like, if you pray to God about something, you don't need to continue to pray and ask over and over and over again. Like, God does not need reminders, and I love that. And my sponsor also says, she says something that I love that's so profound, and she says that you can't pick your, ultra, like, you can't pick your, your agnosticism. Like, you can't say, like, God is in some things, but God is not in other things, right? Like, I don't believe that God is behind horrible things happening in this world, because like hearing that really kind of like changed my perspective. Like, I don't believe that God causes those things to happen, but I do believe that God is in getting through those things. I believe for me, I believe that my higher power, my belief, and I just choose to call that God because it's easier, but it doesn't follow any kind of religious belief or ideology, and you believe what you want to believe. But I believe that God is in that and helping me through that and helping others through that and looking over situations and whatever. And that doesn't necessarily mean that if something horrible happens that God doesn't exist. I don't believe that today. I think when we believe that God does all these things, then when something horrible happens, then it's our faith goes down the toilet, because we're like, if God, I believed in you. It's like the recovery, the joke that we say that this guy's drowning, and he's like, God save me, God save me. And this rowboat comes along with these two people, this boat comes along with two people, and they're like, get in the boat, we're going to save you. And he's like, no, God's going to save me, God's going to save me. This helicopter comes by and puts down this, ladder, and he's like, climb up the ladder, climb up the ladder. He's like, no, God's going to save me, God's going to save me. And then the guy dies, and he goes to heaven, and he's like, God, I prayed to you, I believed in you, like, I had faith, you didn't save me. And God says, I sent a boat, I sent a helicopter, what more did you want? And I think that's the thing, is like, God is all around us in a lot of different ways, but you have to, I can't today, and this was a real struggle for me, after a lot of things that had happened in my life, for me to go, well, if those things happen and God caused them, then I can't align myself with any kind of spirituality or any kind of belief system where God caused that to happen. I can't believe that, I just can't. And so that's why I don't believe that God causes everything today. I don't. I think that things happen in this world, and I think God is with us in how we move through them. And that's just what works for me, but what works for you might be something completely different, yeah, and that's helped me a lot. So anyway, you know what? I'm just going to leave it with that meditation today, and ask myself, am I in the wheelbarrow today or am I not? And some days I am fully, and other days I'm not, and I got to work a little bit more. And being in the wheelbarrow to me is not just saying like, I'm a child of God, I'm a godly person. To me, it's about acting that way. Are you being kind today? Are you being forgiving? Are you being understanding? Are you trying to see something from somebody else's point of view? All of those things are important as well, to be a loving person, So anyway, let me know what you think about all that in the comment section below. I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.